Logrolling is a problem-solving strategy in which negotiators exchange favors on the negotiation issues that are most important to them. This strategy assumes that three conditions are met. Firstly, negotiations must cover several issues of discussion simultaneously. This first condition is often encountered in negotiations. In financial transactions, for example, the parties may discuss the price of the transaction, the payment period, or the payment terms in parallel. In conflict situations, such as divorce, ex-partners have to divide the assets they have acquired together, but also discuss the custody of the children or the settlement of their debts. The second condition that has to be met for logrolling to take place is that the priorities of the parties regarding the issues under discussions are significantly different. To get back to our examples, this would be the case if, in the financial transaction, one party was particularly concerned about the payment deadline, while the other party was primarily interested in the price of the transaction. In a divorce, one partner would be particularly concerned about the custody of the children, while the former spouse would be primarily concerned about the material assets to be divided. Finally, the negotiators need to be able to identify that the difference in priority exists between them. For this to happen, it is essential that the parties communicate effectively about their respective motivations and that they conduct discussions on all negotiation issues in parallel. If these three conditions are met, then logrolling can take place. Logrolling implies that each negotiator makes a substantial concession on the issues that are of high priority for the partner in order to obtain, in exchange, greater gains on what they themselves particularly value. Let us return to our example of the financial transaction. One negotiator wants to benefit from a delay in payment, while the other negotiator wants to ensure that she gets a good price for the property she's selling. The two negotiators can then logroll, ensuring a good selling price for the seller in exchange for a long-term payment schedule for the buyer. In this way, both parties obtain an agreement that is optimal because it fulfills their most important goals. It goes without saying that such an agreement can only be found if the parties discuss these two negotiation topics simultaneously. If, on the contrary, they choose to agree first on the price before considering a discussion on the terms of payment, logrolling can simply not take place. Finally, I would also like to mention the bridging strategy. Bridging is a strategy that is quite similar to logrolling. In the bridging strategy, the parties also exchange favors, but this time the exchange is no longer about the issues on the table, but rather on their underlying motivations. Bridging often requires a reformulation of the problem, and the parties must commit to fully meeting each other's true needs, interests, and goals. Therefore, bridging can also involve a reformulation or even a total change of the issues under discussions. To do this, the party needs to move beyond the demands that are being made, which we have called positions, and to look at the underlying motivations, at their true interests.